Effort and innovation are thus rewarded under socialism. In other words, harder you work, the more you get. Not an equal system. Plain and simple. Okay? Now, I've got things about what pure communism is, about how Karl Marx, the German, came up with all that. And to me, it's just a bunch of yada, yada, yada. Same thing with, the Communist Manifesto. But here's something I found interesting. Pure socialism's definition. Now, pure socialism is an economic system under which each individual, through a democratically elected government, is given an equal share of the four factors of economic production: labor, entrepreneurship, capital goods, and natural resources. In essence, socialism is based on the assumption that all people naturally want to cooperate, but they're restrained from doing so by the competitive nature of capitalism. I know capitalism keeps rearing its ugly head all the darn time. Isn't that terrible? Socialism is an economic system where everyone in society equally owns the factors of production. The ownership is acquired through a democratically elected government, and it could, sorry about that, read that wrong. It could also be a cooperative or public cooperation. It also could be a cooperative or public corporation in which everyone owns shares. As in a command economy, the socialist government employs centralized planning to allocate the resources based on both the needs of individuals and society as a whole. Economic output is then distributed according to each individual's ability and level of contribution. We keep coming back to that part. Harder you work, the more you get. All right? What is a social democracy? Democratic socialism, which is what Biden and Bernie and all the rest of them are trying to push right now, is an economic, social, and political ideology holding that while both the society and economy should be run democratically, they should be dedicated to meeting the needs of the people as a whole rather than encouraging individual prosperity as in capitalism. Okay, that's not really all that bad of an idea if it were to work. Democratic socialists advocate the transition of society from capitalism to socialism through existing participatory democratic processes rather than revolution, as characterized by orthodox Marxism, which is what the communists do. Universally used services such as housing, utilities, mass transit, and healthcare are distributed by the government, while consumer goods are distributed by a capitalistic free market. No such thing as a capitalistic free market. Someone, somewhere, has to make money off of those goods and services. It's a plain simple fact, okay? Someone, somewhere, whether it's the government or an individual, it's still capitalism. The latter half of the 20th century saw the emergence of a more moderate version of socialist democracy, advocating a mixture of socialist and capitalist control of all means of economic production. Now let's look at the countries that adopted the forms of communism and socialism. First off the bat, we know there is Russia. Okay? Plain and simple. Hardcore, Marxist, left-wing, communist country, or used to be, till 1989. And we got China. The Communist Party of China owns and strictly controls all industry, which operates solely to generate profits for the government. I hear that one? For the government. Through its successful and growing export of consumer goods. Healthcare and primary through higher education. They're run by the government and provided free to charge to people. That's awesome. However, housing and property development operate under a highly competitive capitalist system. I thought there wasn't supposed to be capitalism involved whatsoever. Interesting. Then there's Cuba. The Communist Party of Cuba owns and operates most industries, and most of the people work for the state. Government-controlled health care and primary through higher education are provided free, and housing is either free or heavily subsidized by government. Now, it seems like in Cuba they're supposed to be working, right? Okay. Then we got North Korea, ruled by the Communist Party until 1946. North Korea now operates under a socialist constitution of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. In other words, they just added a whole bunch of fancy-ass words to it. However, the government owns and controls all farmland, workers, and food distribution channels. You heard me say it, they own the workers. Today, the government provides universal health and education for all its citizens. Private ownership of property is forbidden. Instead, the government grants people the right to government-owned and assigned homes. Okay? Now, let's go to socialist countries. Once again, most modern countries that identify themselves to be socialist may not strictly follow the economic or social systems associated with pure socialism. Well, that's interesting. I wonder why, if they consider themselves a socialist country. Instead, most countries generally considered socialist actually employ the policies of democratic socialism. Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. They all employ similar, predominantly socialist systems. The democratically chosen governments of all three countries provide free healthcare, yes, education, awesome, and lifetime retirement income. Yes, oh man, that's super. As a result, however, their citizens pay some of the world's highest taxes. So in other words, it's not free. They're not working with others, so everything is free. They're not sharing. Oh, that's interesting. All three countries also have highly successful capitalistic sectors, with most of their needs provided by their governments.